So in today's video, I wanted to go over a very important concept that I think many brands have really struggled with, especially when it comes to either reiterating or iterate and recreate the success they have had in some creatives, or they just struggle to really create winning creatives that are able to scale their ad campaigns. This is a very great framework that brands should follow to really be able to test as many content creatives as possible in a way that they understand what has been working, so it's easier for them to replicate the success. And basically, if you're able to implement this and apply this hierarchy that I'm about to show you in this video, I could guarantee you that you will be able to see much better success in your ad campaigns, in your ad account overall. So without further ado, let's go into it right now. So I call this paid ads testing hierarchy. Having a winning creative, winning ad that is currently helping you generate great results, great returns for your ad account, it's very hard to replicate that if you don't really understand what went behind the ad, what exactly about the ad that is working. Everything will be organized in a way that you will understand why it worked. So the first thing that you will need to do before doing anything else, whether that is, deciding on even the offer, is actually pinpoint and understand the exact core messaging and the value proposition of the product that you're trying to promote in the market. Before you even envision what the offer is going to be, whether that comes with two major components, the actual product that you are selling and the discount or sales, or the thing that people are actually adding to their basket. So before we even get to that, we need to understand what's the core messaging, what's the value proposition that you are going to convey to your customers. And ideally, in terms of cadence, you want to do this every week. You want to come up with new value propositions, new core messaging that you can put in front of your ideal customers every week. Then from there, you would then determine the offer. So now after you decided on the core messaging that you're going to convey to your customers and the offer that you're going to run, now we're going to move on to actually deciding and coming up with the ad angles. So here notice is angles because you will always want to test more than one angle in your brief. So for example, let's say the product, the core messaging. So first the product will be a protein bar, and the core messaging you want to convey to the customer is this is the best way to get protein and hit your daily protein goal while you don't have time to cook or you're always on the run. So there's a very specific messaging that we are conveying to customers, and quite frankly, we already kind of start to envision and picture different types of customers that will probably resonate with this core idea and the value proposition. And that will be reflected in our ad angles. So for example, if you are targeting people that have a 9 to 5, then you will say, hey, this protein bar will be the best way to hit your protein target and goal when you don't have the time to meal prep, when you don't have the time to really look out for those protein heavy or protein based meals. So this is the best alternative. It's very convenient. Or, and second, you might have another segment of the customers. There are people who are probably busy moms that don't have, have recently had a new baby and don't have a ton of time to, take care of herself. And this type of specific protein bar will help her to, reach her protein goals every day. So these are different ad angles by targeting different demographics that also go under the core messaging, the value proposition that we are trying to convey to the customers. And oftentimes, especially when it comes to video content, video creatives, the way that we differentiate angles usually happen in the hook. So that's why, within a brief, the body of the videos tend to be the same across different angles, and the way that we wanted to call out different segments of customers or call out people that really represent different ad angles is really in the hook part of the brief. So that's why we like to create more than one, usually 3 to 4 different hooks, so that we can really touch on all different types of people with different angles. So now, just to recap, we have finalized. So first, we already came up with the core messaging, the value proposition for the concept that we're going to do. And then we have an offer that's ready to be presented in the ads assets that we're actually going to run in the ad account. Now, we also determined and decided on the different angles. Ideally, there'll be 3 to 4 different angles that we want to put in the ad account. Finally, we are going to determine the ad formats. So the common issue, the common problem I've seen brand owners like to make, focus 90% or 80% of their time determining or deciding on which type of ad format they want to do. So for example, a lot of brand owners like to stress on, hey, we want to create as many UGCs as possible because I've just seen they work. Or, hey, I don't think my brand works really well with video content. Let's just solely focus on static images because they would just work really well in the past. Those are conversations that we definitely would like to have, especially when you get to this stage. But the mistake that most brand owners will make is they will spend majority of their time focusing on these conversations rather than spending, I would say, 80% of their time doing the core messaging, really dial in their value proposition. What is it that they are trying to sell? What is it that they are trying to desire that they are going to fulfill with their offer? With all that said, now let's come back to ad format because it is important. However, that is only important after we have dialed in the first most important segments in this hierarchy. To really understand the ad formats that we in fact going to create, because those eventually will be the ads that are going to be put in the ad account and going to go run and to drive for results. So right now in 2023, I think there are really just 2 types of ad formats that essentially you can run. So number 1 is videos and number 2 is statics. And within videos, there are many different ways you can do it, whether that is a long form VSL or short form VSL or just UGC videos. We have just seen UGC still working really, really well, and some type of short form VSL could also work depending on the offer and the product. And statics also has started to really make a comeback, especially around Q4 or into the later half of the year, because I think this is really the time people are starting to look for discounts, offers, and static images are a great way to just really, go straight for that offer or the sales or discount that your brand is running. Definitely have this conversation with your team, with your marketing team, and with your co-founder or just with yourself to determine what will be the ad formats that you are in fact going to run in your ad account. And remember, there really isn't a either or. I personally think it's an and you just need to really determine. And the effectiveness of whether running statics or UGCs really depend on the concepts, which is going back to step 1, the core messaging, the value proposition. Then lastly, after we have done this first round of determining the core messaging, coming up with ad angles, and finalizing on the ad formats, we're gonna have a round of first round of ad testing to do. And after we run that, let's say for a week or 2, we're gonna have some results and performance. And based on those, you can do analysis and really start to iterate on the content that you have put in the first round of ads in terms of the core messaging. And for ad iteration, it's still going to, so for last part, ad iteration is going to be for the first same core messaging that you had came up with probably 1 or 2 weeks ago. And this is just a way to further improve, because essentially it's nearly impossible to hit a home run in your very, very first trial. So this is a way for you to give a second chance of your content, looking for ways to improve based off of what you have already come up with. And I think this is also what many brands don't do, which really leads them to have so much money left on the table because they don't do iterations. They don't really go back and to interpret the data, the results, the performance, to understand what are some of the things, the low hanging fruit even, that they could do to quickly improve the results based off of what they already have. So, with all that said, this is a pretty straightforward and I think a really effective way to think about how to do testing in your ad account, all the way from determining and coming up with the core messaging all the way down to ad iteration. So hopefully this makes sense. And let me know in the comments what you think of this. And if this was helpful, subscribe, give a like. And I'll be start posting a bit more videos around this concept. And especially as we are heading into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I think it's important to really understand, how to maximize your ad account for this most important period for any e-commerce business. So stay tuned for more content and catch you guys in the next one.